we're counting down to what has been a lackluster sort of day. It will still go home in favor of the bulls because what we did manage to do is recover quite a bit. The Nifty Bank recovering about 200 points from the day's lows, and the Nifty as well, as you can see, that almost U-shaped recovery. We're counting down to close, so let's get some final comments in. Ashwini, what would the call be by the end of trade? For tomorrow, what would your view be on the index itself?
Friday was narrow range. Today again it's been narrow range. So overall, the market is extremely sideways, and the best way of trading is to buy the dips and possibly sell the rips. And I don't think you will get a big directional play. Every day you will find new sectors trying to hold up the market. So that way, I don't see the market making a great big move unless we can get past today's high and Friday's low. So basically, it's a range where 11,750, 800, and 950, 12,000. That sort of 200-point range.
Okay. So you want to give us any stocks before we end for the day? I mean, just 3 more minutes to go, but anything that caught your eye in the dying moments where one can sort of take forward to tomorrow?
See, things like Britannia, Bata, Jubilant Food, all these FMCG type of stocks, they are doing extremely well. So those are places where people can hide.
Okay, well, that is the pocket that's actually looking pretty good today, along with the IT names, of course. So Tech Mahindra, TCS, etc. will also go home as the biggest gainers today. Mitesh, what would your final call be on the index? You think this, 200-day moving average, I mean, it doesn't really matter at the moment, but the 11,000 level will hold at least for this week. And what would the, the strategy be for tomorrow?
I think that next few days we'll consolidate and it will be a stock-specific trading bias. In fact, I've been since morning pushing for IT stocks to be taken on the long side. I think that's where the action is. Momentum is looking very strong there. But broadly, it looks like a 220, 230 point kind of range. 12,000 on the upside, I think will hold. And 11,780, 760, even take a few points. That should be the support area or the lower end of the range.
Okay, well, let's do one thing. Let's just count down to what has been fairly, a directionless day, you'd have to say. It's still a day where we go home in the green, so 0.5% higher for the index, but we've been consolidating within a very tight range. If you look at the big movers today, it is largely the technology stocks that have been gaining. So Tech Mahindra, TCS, Infosys are all up about 1 to 3% odd. Britannia is one stock. In fact, consumption has made a comeback. So whether it's Britannia, ITC, HUL, all these stocks go home in the green. Apart from that, some of the pharma stocks have not done too badly. So DRL, Cipla are up almost about 1 to 2%. And L&T has really been a strong stock over the last fortnight or so. Continues to trade above that 1500 mark. In fact, from the lows of about 1350 or so a couple of months ago, it's back above 1530. So it's had quite a reasonable run. So this was a list of gainers. On the losing end, a couple of these names, Yes Bank, Coal India, BPCL, IOC, so the crude sensitives that gained last week have come off a little bit. Z Entertainment continues to be under pressure. It's lost 30% this year already. And a couple of these auto stocks like Tata Motors, Hero MotoCorp continue to be under pressure at the moment. That's about the large caps. In the mid cap end, it's a day where there's been absolutely no tolerance towards any of these highly leveraged balance sheet issue, promoter pledge issue companies. So whether it's PC Jewelers, Reliance Infra, JNK Bank, Suzlon Energy, Rel Power, Rel Cap, Jain Irrigation as well, all these stocks down anywhere between 8 to 15% and huge volumes getting traded. PSU banks also have had it rough today. So Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, PNB, etc. have all been under pressure, down about 2 to 3%. So by the end of the day, yes, the week has started off on a positive note, but that's only on the headline index. If you look beneath the surface, there is still plenty of turmoil. You can see it in the market breadth. So the market breadth closes in favor of declines. Almost 1,400 stocks on the declining side today. So the headline index has been held up by just a few participants. Otherwise, beneath the surface, there's still plenty of pain. Mayuresh, I wanted your thoughts on, some of these companies where there are impending deals, but nothing has fructified just yet. So say a Z Entertainment, Suzlon of course is just a 4 rupee stock, so let's leave that aside. A Jain Irrigation where they're looking to sell their pipes business. Anything that you're betting on, or would you stay away from these companies?
Again, I think the intrinsic value that probably comes out, I think looking at market conditions and the assets that they probably have on the pipeline or on the anvil, I think a lot needs to be done in terms of finding the buyer, and all these companies are probably scouting out for buyers for a long period of time. Now, who actually comes in and what kind of a value is he really expected to ascribe in market conditions like this? I think it's becomes a very, very difficult scenario. So I think staying away, at least at this point of time, unless I think the deal contours on a case-to-case basis become far more clear. And again, I think once the clarity comes through, to make a judgmental call from a fundamental perspective at that point of time, ascribing value to a particular set of business or different sets of businesses within its fold itself, like in the case, for example, for Jain Irrigation, I think that would be a more broadened strategy. I think the entire focus, Sonia, should be now in terms of what kind of expectations can one really have from the budget. And if one really derives the inference from the BJP manifesto, the kind of infrastructure spending that they were supposed to do or are expected to do, I think a lot can be done in terms of the road sector, for example. I think a lot of road companies have not received their mobilization advances because of elections. If that starts coming through, and a lot of projects with better IRRs, which the companies are bidding for, should start coming onto their P&Ls with better execution, I think road developers are looking in a very, very sweet spot. And with affordable housing probably remaining at the forefront of this government, I think a lot of cement companies with nationwide presence, specifically in the central and northern parts of India, though there might be some pressures in terms of realizations going down, I think the second half onwards, you'll see tremendous earnings growth start coming through. So mid-cap cement, road developers, I think looking very, very interesting from a budget and an allocation perspective from the central government.
Okay, well, Mayuresh, Mitesh, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Ashwini, thank you as well for giving us your thoughts on the technicals of the market. Let's take a short break on that note, but sources suggest that talks to sell Suzlon to Vestas has hit a roadblock. All those exclusive details coming up on the other side.